Assalamu alaikum. Thanks to Honorable Moderator for allowing me to speak. I am Naushin Sultana, the second speaker of the proposition team. Today, our topic is a strong dictatorship is better than a weak democracy. I completely support this topic and shall show you how a strong dictatorship affects a nation positively. So, Honorable Moderator, as I take it, a strong dictatorship is innumerable times better than a weak democracy. And thinking of a strong dictatorship, I can't help thinking of Kuan Yew. BBC News described him as the statesman who transformed Singapore from a small port city into a wealthy global hub. Dear opponents, if you haven't been living under a rock, you must have heard of him. He was the Prime Minister of Singapore for 3 decades. And in those 3 decades, he transformed Singapore from an underdeveloped city into a shining example of a developed city. Earlier, Singapore had no natural resources, a small land area, and a small army. But look at it now, it's so developed. Honorable Moderator, many people think that dictators are always brutal. But no, strong and great dictators aren't brutal. Going back to Kuan Yew, just so you know, dear opponents, he didn't kill a single person in his 3-decade-long rule. Can you imagine? And torture was not implemented either. Before he took the mantle of leader, Singapore was nothing more than a collection of plastic houses and shanties. So, dear opponents, how do you describe Singapore before the dictatorship? If democracy was really the key to success, then what was wrong with Singapore before the dictatorship? We demand a reply. Now let's get to know Muammar Gaddafi. He was the dictator of Libya. He is often portrayed as a bad guy, but that is, in fact, not the real picture. According to Wikipedia, the government initiated a process of funding towards providing education, healthcare, housing, and free electricity for all. Medical care became available to the public at no cost. Public education became free, and primary education compulsory for all. A portion of the money made from oil sales went directly into the bank accounts of the Libyan citizens. And most importantly, per capita income in the country rose to more than 11,000 US dollars, the 5th highest in Africa. And also, Libya had the highest rating on Human Development Index in Africa. Take a look at Libya now. Its situation is not terrific. So, wise opponents, if you can, then fight this fact. Park Chung-hee was another great dictator who was the president of South Korea from 1962 to 1979. He enriched his country during his rule. One of his most ambitious projects was the 1,416-kilometer expressway connecting Seoul to Busan. He developed South Korea's banking and business sectors and enriched his country with an export-oriented industrialization policy. Dear opponents, to give you some perspective, according to a research article by Asian Survey, when Park came into power in 1962, South Korea's exports were a mere $55 million. But by 1978, it had reached $12.4 billion. Also, during the same period, the GNP per capita was a miserable $87, but then it rapidly rose to $1,242. The GDP was only $59, where it rose to $1,000. Any rebuttal against this, wise opponents? And did you know that France's most significant period of growth was under the semi-dictatorial General de Gaulle? He led France to prosperity, not democracy. And did you know about the great dictators worldwide, like Shin Don, Joseph Pizzocchi, Thomas, etc.? If you only did, dear opponents. Now let me tell you, surveyed by Pew Research Center in 2018, people were more disappointed than happy with the way democracy worked in their country. Some of the countries include the US, the UK, Brazil, Italy, Japan, and so on. Dear opponents, if law of democracy was as good, then why would these countries be so disappointed? So, Honorable Moderator, evidently, a strong dictatorship is way better than a weak democracy. Our final speaker shall compare them and prove our words' validity. And your opponents, give us a satisfactory explanation of how you find your arguments reasonable after all the facts mentioned. Thank you. Honorable Moderator, thank you.